Part 3 under Destruction at the End of Massien 3b. Perceptual and context. If you notice what was destroyed, the language used with our Greek clone perception, the compound probability, actuarial science, that's right, little Miss Ivy, the odds defying destruction will leave you no other choice. Yep, I think the oddity of destruction and their admittance of ignorance will tie your hands to realize a specific history overlapping to hide their true history and crimes is what caused the damage they are bewildered about. You'll see what I'm talking about. Check it out. I'm cutting to the chase. Quote, meanwhile, the archaeologists are encountering what appeared to be a wave of destruction of Massanian palaces. Indeed, the Palos tablets recorded the dispatch of, personal quote, coast watchers, to be followed not long after by burning of the palace, presumably by invaders from the sea. Carl Blingen wrote, personal text, personal quote, the telltale track of the Dorians must be recognized in the fire-scarred ruins of all the great palaces and the more important towns which were blotted out at the end of Massien 3b. I'm going to read that again. Personal quote, the telltale track of the Dorians must be recognized in the fire-scarred ruins of all the great palaces and the more important towns which were blotted out at the end of Massien 3b. Stop. Two oddities and a what? The first oddity, only the palaces was burned. And the second oddity, the only way an invading army will burn down the palaces is if they didn't plan to stay. And for the what? They said the towns were blotted out. I can see if they said destroyed, completely destroyed, or even decimated. But to use the term blotted out sounds biblical, as though they know the evidence is beyond destruction by an invasion. No, ladies and gentlemen, this sounds like fully functioning and operational ancient Mandela effect history overlapping to me. Yep, I'll say it again. It sounds like fully functioning and operational ancient Mandela effect history overlapping to me. Why? To ensure a smooth power transition as they upgrade from one make and model to the other with fabricated Mandela effect tech support. The words coming out of my mouth hold water when you take into consideration of what they say next. Oh yeah, remember when I just reminded you of the 3 different ways of sea peoples? Check this out. Quote, a destruction by Dorians has its own problems. Notice, stop. Notice, they'll give you a theory, but then the evidence don't back it up, so they have to come right back and say, well, there's a problem with that theory that we just told you. Well, then why did you even tell us the theory in the first place if you know it doesn't hold water? Because they don't know. But if you just plug into your equation, no, all of these cats were cloned. Yeah, all them cats right there, they were cloned. One after another after another. See the Carthaginian? Yep, it was there. They're going to get theirs. And all the rest of them cats, they were cloned. They had no beginning outside of Greece. All of a sudden you got this nation on top of nation on top of nation on top of nation. Come on, man. But let's continue. I'm sorry. Let's continue. Quote, a destruction by Dorians has its own problems, as discussed in the next section, and is not the only possible explanation. At approximately this time, first, Hittite power in Anatolia collapsed with the destruction of their capital, Hattusa, and the second, late 19th, and third, the 20th dynasties of Egypt suffered invasions of the sea peoples. Listen to this mountain of indecisiveness, people. Quote, a theory reported, for instance, by Thomas and Cornet, attributed the ruin of the Peloponnese to the sea peoples. Personal quote, evidence on the Linear B tablets from the Macedonian kingdom of Palus describes the dispatch of rowers and watchers to the coast. For instance, may well date to the time that the Egyptian pharaoh was expecting the arrival of foes. The identity of the foes remained a question. The evidence suggests that some of the sea peoples may have been Greek. However, most of the destroyed Mycenaean sites are far from the sea, and the expedition against Troy at the end of this period shows that the sea was saved. Stop. Translation, they have no idea what happened. Now I want you to hear what the agony of defeat sounds like. How? By listening to an academic scholar beaten by the evidence utter what he once thought was mere superstition. Quote, Michael Wood suggests relying on tradition, especially that of Thucydides. Personal quote, let us not forget the legends, at least as models for what might have happened. Boy, I know he took some heat for that, boy. They tell us of constant rivalries with the royal clans of the heroic age. Aratus, and something with a T, and something with an A, and something with an A, and so on. Bingo. In summary, it is possible that the Macedonian world disintegrated through, personal quote, feuding clans of the great royal families. The possibilities of some sort of internal struggle had long been under consideration. Listen up. Chadwick, after following and critiquing the development of different views, in 1976 settled on a theory of his own. Personal quote. There was no Dorian invasion. The palaces were destroyed by Dorians who had been in the Peloponnesus all along as a subservient lower class and now were staging a revolution. Stop. I must say, I agree with him somewhat. I mean, I too believe some of the Dorians were in the service of the entire Armada at one point before establishing themselves as the dominant clan. I believe, and will prove through various ways through this series, some of the Dorians were the Armada's equivalent of the Sea People's Shasu warriors who fought to establish all the kingdoms. And just as the Anastasia still attests the Shasu's actions after the Greek Armada was finally settled, they set up their own kingdom within each nation's territory, sort of like military bases in each nation. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Under invasion or migration. Quote, after the Greek Dark Ages, much of the population of the Peloponnesus spoke Dorian, while the evidence of Linear B and literary traditions, such as the works of Homer, suggests that the population spoke Archaean, Messianian Greek, before. Listen up. Notice their choice of words here, people. Quote, in addition, society in the Peloponnese had undergone a total change from state ruled by kings presiding over a palace economy to a caste system ruled by a Dorian master ethnos at Sparta. I'm going to say that one more time because that's extremely important. In addition, society in the Peloponnese had undergone a total change from states ruled by kings presiding over a palace economy to a caste system ruled by a Dorian master ethnos at Sparta. Stop. Master race bingo. But wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Before you get sucked in into the witchcraft and sorceries Hollywood has given us about the Spartans, let me get your minds right. Notice how they worded their statement. Quote, a caste system ruled by a Dorian master ethnos at Sparta, which can only mean, just like the Herculeans account attests, and I will prove later, the Dorian master race used specifically designed Spartan super soldiers to fight for them. They are not the same make and model of people. We will prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt throughout this series. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Listen to this. Oh, off the cuff, before we go forward. I don't know if I prove that or express that last fact clearly enough. The Dorians, which they want to say was, this master race, and what we see in Hollywood, uh, specifically 300 or any history books, that the Spartans was the military master race, this, that, and other. Uh-uh. There, within the Spartans, were a specific group to where at their zenith they only had 8,000 of them. No, they were the specific super soldiers. All they were different than the Spartans altogether, but and they had different classes altogether that made up the whole Spartan army. But no, the super soldiers, the badasses, the ones that we know about, mm-mm, they were they were very, very, very few in number, and they didn't know their right hand from the left. To the point, they wasn't even allowed to buy bubble gum, ancient bubble gum. They couldn't do anything that had to do with the economy or commerce or anything. All they knew how to do and all they were required to do was fight, fight, fight. They wasn't even supposed to get a family. They were supposed to just live in a barracks. Man, it's amazing the things that history does not tell us. That, well, society, this witchcraft and sorcery blurs on us because the truth is out there. Just read it. But we're this nation that likes moving pictures, and we'll get sucked up into their witchcraft and sorceries, and they'll tell us their narrative uh, of things, and they'll flip the script on us, to make it to our God is the mean guy, and they're the benevolent ones, and they need mankind to rally with them to fight this foe. No, 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 no. But I keep rambling on. Okay, let's get to the next video.